Welcome back. Let's dive right into it. Balancing a career and personal life is like walking a tightrope, about 1,000 kilometers up, where each step is a delicate dance between responsibilities and passion, that purpose. And we have to embrace the challenge, now more than ever, find our rhythm, and remember that with the right balance, we can achieve both success and fulfillment. I'm so glad we are having this conversation right here, right now, and to discuss this topic is a panel of men from all walks of life and professions. We've got lawyer Eitan Stern, one of our favorites. Again, one of our favorites, Dr. Michaela van Zagi. Another one of our favorites, Chef Clem Pedro. Soon to be one of our favorites, Principal Greg Stokel. And another one of our favorites, psychologist JP Senecal. You're all my favorites this morning because you're here. And we are talking about a vitally important conversation right now, because every human being is trying to find this balance in this moment. And I'm looking across you, trying to think who's got the greatest sense of balance right now. I'm going to start with you, Clem, because you've got a little one on the way. You're going to have to find some balance in a dramatic way. For you, someone who's in the moment, you live and work in the moment like this, why is finding that balance so important?
What people need to understand is the job that you and I have doesn't really, we don't have office hours. It starts extremely early in the morning, and it sometimes just carries on into the next morning. And for the longest time, and this is the truth, I would drive around with a go bag in my boot, because at any time I'll get a call from a client going, we need you in Joburg in the next few hours, Durban as well. And we've been really good in the sense that every time there's a bit of a sacrifice for what we give to the job, there has to be something in return.
Sure.
And we have to keep stock of that, because quite easily you'll end up sacrificing and then realizing you've not given yourself or your partner...
You can't go and fix it retrospectively,
Yes, so it's kind of keeping stock of the times that we, Meg and myself, both being in the same industry, give to the industry and then bring it back.
Sure.
We owe ourselves a couple of days, and that's what we've been doing up to now. The game's about to change come December.
I was going to say, get a baby bag instead of that go bag. Well, you can still call it the go bag. That's perfectly fine. And you found a partner to help you balance that out, which is great. Great. Greg, you've got a lot of little people looking up to you. I would imagine the responsibility of having that many young people in your care never stops. You can't switch that off. How do you find balance? How do you pull out of that environment and go back into your own world, or is it impossible?
With great difficulty.
And rightly so, because it's a daunting responsibility, and it must be that.
I love what I do, and seeing the little faces, it encourages and inspires one a lot. Walking into a shopping centre, little ones come running up to you, it's amazing. You connect with parents, but you're always on show. You're always in the public eye. So it is important to find space where you can be alone in a sense, but where you can also give expression to your own passions. And I think I found that in dancing.
Oh, wow.
It was so interesting seeing the two dancers here early on this morning, because they were at the same competition that I was in on the weekend. So it was really fantastic to see from young, they're getting into it. I've learned later in life, out of necessity, to have to find something that will bring us a measure of balance.
Oh, well done to you. And then you send that message out to the young ones under your care as well. I love it. Eitan, I get a sense that you might have burnt out at a point in your career and changed the story.
At a point in my week.
Last week. Now, I get a sense that you've asked yourself a lot of these questions, and you've built your professional life around what you need to avoid those sorts of things. Am I off the mark here? Talk me through.
No, I think you're kind of on the mark. I like to say yes to things. So generally, if someone offers me to do something, I say yes, and my process is I generally ramp things up really busy until I feel burnt out, but I don't recognize it. And my wife says to me, "You're burnt out. You need to start pulling back a little bit." And then I say no to a bunch of things, and so I've learned that balance of the art and the power of no. To kind of, and that's professional and personal. Sometimes you got to say no to things. You got to tone it back down. I don't think I ever realized that before I got married.
I was going to say, it helps to have a governor or a partner, someone to hold up that mirror.
100%.
Michaela, you're as active in your professional... It's difficult to know what your professional life is, because you're a doctor, but you live this truth. In every engagement I have with you, I grow in some way, I learn something about myself, and you now present this to the rest of the world, which is a beautiful thing, and you've got 2 earrings in your ears, so you look like a 90s rebel, which is amazing. I think you're even more powerful than you've ever been. But for you, you seem to have the ability to be able to put those boundaries in place. How do you actively do that in a very unforgiving space? Working as a doctor is on a different level.
I mean, I think, it was so interesting for me to reflect on, because I've never actually thought about what I did.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of naturally happened for me. I think this probably a lot of people won't be able to say they've been through this, but going through what I went through, my vulnerability, I don't know if anyone knows, I went through like a cancer journey. And I think the perspective that I can relay from what I learned during that time was that the world puts so much pressure on you to perform in a way that you feel would make you more adequate or more whatever you feel like you needed to be. And just understanding that you know, you're not less of a person if you prioritize yourself.
Yeah.
And just keeping that in the back of your mind all the time, that it's as important to perform in your professional life as it is to be happy.
For sure.
Those are two very balanced things.
They overlap.
And society kind of puts pressure on, you know, to perform in your professional career, and that's what kind of defines you, which is absolutely not true.
Especially in the space of super achievers as well. You've got your own self to be competing against. JP, sum this all up for us, please. No. It seems to me this boils down to those in-the-moment choices of either a yes or a no, or setting a boundary. If we feel that we are in that space of burnout, maybe our partners come to us and said, you are burnt out, how do we take control of those moments? What can we say to ourselves, or what exercise can we go through to try to keep those boundaries in place?
You've asked a complicated question.
Yeah,
So,
we've got about 12 years to study this. And
yeah,
we
no
can
problem.
Get there, yeah.
I think, you know, in the moment, it's really important to be able to be mindful and understand exactly what it is you're going through. Because that overwhelming feeling can feel like so much, it's very difficult to actually get to the groundwork of what it is you're experiencing. So, I mean, I'd recommend therapy, but I recommend that all the time anyway.
Yeah.
But certainly understanding yourself and knowing what it is that's going to actually counteract what you're experiencing. So if it's taking time to say no to things, professional and personal, if it's taking time to engage in something that feeds your soul, I think that's also really important. I'm a really big advocate of rest.
Yeah.
And that rest is a really important part of work.
Yeah, you're lucky I didn't fall asleep listening to you now, not because you're uninteresting, but because I just need rest so bad, man. We all live on this front line. That was beautifully put. I think there is an opportunity every day to, if you're conscious, to move through this, but if you're not, that's when the stuff starts to happen. Gentlemen, stick around. We absolutely love the fact that we are having these kinds of conversations. By mastering the art of balance, we can unlock an entire new world of fulfillment and joy. That purpose that should drive all of this. And we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts, your insights on this topic on our social pages. We'd love to hear from you. And don't go anywhere, because we'll be continuing this discussion in just a moment. Stick around. Okay, and we're going to continue to do a deep dive into how the world of work has changed as well. That was the question we put to you guys on our social media pages. Do you think your job will exist in the next 5 to 10 years? How is your landscape changing, and how has that affected your mental state? Does AI terrify you? Are you excited about the possibilities? Maybe it's going to take some of the pressure off our hands and shoulders so we can find that balance. We'd love to hear from you. 063-408-8863. Drop us a voice note.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we dive right back into what is proving to be an unbelievably enriching conversation. Jana Kingsford said it best. Balance is not something you find, it's something you create. Let that sink in. There is so much truth in that statement, and we can't wait to continue our discussion on the topic of mastering your balance game and where we go. And we've got an incredible panel. I'm not going to waste the 5 minutes introducing you all again. JP, I'm going to start with you and ask you from a personal perspective. When we talk about the weight of responsibility of the job, it's very deep and interpersonal. Can you switch that off, and do you apply what you know in your own space? Is it that easy to give yourself advice when you're trying to find balance?
That's a good question. Not always.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of it for me, is acknowledging that I don't always get this right, and give myself the grace to get it wrong and keep learning and keep growing in that. But certainly for myself, kind of switching off at the end of the day and creating that part of balance for myself is very important. And so even if it's just taking the drive home from my office to home as a kind of shifting over point for myself, and kind of changing modes for myself is really important, so that when I get home, I can be fully present with my family and not sort of bring the burdens of work with me.
Communication seems to be so key when you don't want this baggage to transfer to your relationships. Maybe, Eitan, you've spoken about the value of your wife in this space to balance you out. I think my wife is my governor, literally. She was put in to make sure that I don't think I'm too funny. How do you find that balance, and how important is that interplay, that communication with your partner?
I think communication is obviously key in a relationship, but I think for me it's about understanding what the other person needs. So my wife knows I need to be on the mountain twice a week in order to kind of keep my sanity.
What did you say to her to get her to understand it?
No, she sees what I'm like in this, I don't. So
yeah.
she knows that's something that we communicate what we need. If I go, I communicate how long I'm going to be, when I'm back, and that's just a part of the tech of our relationship. So I think understanding what each other, not just telling the person, hey, I need this or I'm going to do this, but understanding like what this does for you if you have it. And she'll have the same sort of things that I know she needs, and so I can try to create that space for her.
I absolutely love that. And it's often that relationships fall down because the expectations aren't met. So just manage what you are presenting in that space. Greg, sorry, please don't send me to the principal's office, please. How do you, because you are modeling this behavior for your teachers, for your own family, for your students. It must feel like quite a weight of responsibility in that. Do you feel like you have to be this now for everyone around you? How do you manage those expectations?
I used to feel that. But in the season that I've been here in Cape Town, I've had to take a new look at myself.
Really?
The reality is that not getting it right the first time was one of the key factors that led to the breakdown of my marriage.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so
sorry, man.
I have to make sure that going forward, I build these skills in. The skills that JP has mentioned, whether it's therapy or counseling or an accountability partner to help me plan effectively.
I like that.
Because I thought I could do it all, but I've realized I can't. And that's where I think team comes in. Having a great team. You speak about a governor as a wife. I've got a really good front office secretarial team. And they gatekeep so that I can help, or I can make sure that the right energy is given to the right places.
The unsung heroes,
Absolutely.
For sure.
So it really is important. And it's part of being a member of a team, because it's not all about me. And that communication channel in planning ahead helps immensely. So yes, the pressure is there. I can only live it out of my past experience.
Oh, for sure, like
and
everyone,
hope to build a better future.
But well done for processing it in the way that you have. Clem, you're nodding your head there, bro. I can see you writing. You should be taking notes, buddy. Does this make you scared or excited about flying? Because you are very driven, very hungry. Both you and Megs are definitely, but you're going to have this very inconvenient baby thrown into the mix in a very short amount of time. Beautiful, terrifying at the same time. What do you want to be the basis point for finding that balance? Because your younger needs to know that you're driven and you need to provide for them, but you want time. You want to be able to appreciate life while they are there. What would you like out of that?
It's a conversation we're having right now, because Meg and I do constantly go at 2,000 kilometers an hour, and we've always just given that much to the industry and to the job. But it's not going to be possible come December. We cannot be going at that pace because there's this little person in our lives. And that's a conversation we're having now as to how to incorporate into what we're doing, with reason, for the fact that it's no longer just two people in the family sacrificing. There's a third person. So it's kind of finding that balance of still getting the reaping the rewards of our industry, but raising a young person. And finding that balance of being able to switch off, which is something that for the past 7 years, I've never been able to switch off Clem. Because you got to be switched on in that personality when you're in public all the time.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
That. It's a question that you asked me, but it's a question I'm hoping to have answered by the time we finish this conversation, because I don't have the answers just yet. So
and you never will, buddy, but we keep sitting down and we keep surrounding ourselves with amazing men and women, and we figure it out. Don't worry, and the baby's going to make you work twice as hard and draw a line in the sand in a way that you've never been able to. So a lot of those questions will naturally be answered. Michaela, I'm going to ask you this, because I think you had to go through a gateway that kind of forced you to deal with the absolute reality of life. Then you come out of that and you think the challenge done, but no, now you must rebuild yourself in the image of what? What advice do you have for someone who's sitting at that door now? Maybe they've overcome the challenge, they have the opportunity to redefine themselves and start to find balance from the basis up. What advice do you have?
So, I mean, I don't have a wife or a kid.
You can leave it there. Actually. That's fine. That was one up. Drops mic,
But I think something that's really stuck with me is, I mean, JP mentioned it, rest, right? And I went one day and I just tried to define to myself, what does it mean to rest, right? Because if I go home and sit in front of the TV for the day, I don't feel rested.
You're frustrated.
I'm frustrated. And I find so much more energy in people, but it's the right people and it's the right environment. So there's this, you know, we all say I want to switch off from work, and then what does that mean?
Yeah.
Do I want to go home and sit and chill and eat a
My
popcorn?
work's my purpose. I never want to switch off from my work. I want to be driving that all the time.
Yeah, I get a lot of energy from changing my mindset at work to get energy from people and have the right interactions with them. So just think about what rest means to you. If you like resting in the term that, you know, the normal sense of just sitting
And sleep's okay.
and chilling and sleeping, that's perfectly fine. But if you get energy from people, just create a life where your rest is coming from the right environment. And that's what I think I've mastered that. I think I look like I'm always busy, but that busyness gives me energy. And it's about balancing that with you know, the right amount of sleep and good nutrition and exercise. But that's how I do it. And it's kind of
That earring might be a clue that you're a superhero as well. I just have a feeling that there's just a little something there. I absolutely love it. All I can think about is the guy going home to explain to his wife that a game of golf is like his mountain. Aidan said I must get to my mountain twice a week. Golf is my mountain, okay? I need to get out there. I wish I could dress you up all as like a mariachi band. You could just follow me around everywhere I go and just give me advice and play a tune whenever I need it. You are my spirit animals for today. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Let's hear now from the people. We asked you guys at home to weigh in on the conversation as well. And I think we've had a lot of responses, but I'd love to take a look at two of them if we can bring them up. It's going to hopefully come up on the big one. Let's see here. The key word is balance. Too much of one thing, be it either not a good thing. I believe avoiding a burnout is learning to say the word no, and saying no with no needs to explain the no, okay? And of course, listen to your body. It will tell you when you are heading into overdrive, and when that happens, hit the brakes. This speaks to knowing thyself. You know your pressure points, and I think that's where having a partner in the mix there really does help. So open the line of communication, talk, set those expectations so you've got an accountability partner with you. Speak to your friends, but I love the notion of what Michele put forward there, echoing what the gents have said. Just understand yourself to the point of what that rest looks like, to know how to feed back into yourself and find that balance. But I think that is key, is starting the journey. None of us get it right all the time. Just be conscious of that intention right now. Now, you too can master your game with a BIC Flex. If it's going to inspire these kind of conversations, I am here for that. And you can win one of these masterclass subscriptions valued at 3,000 Rand to help you up your skills and just take a little care of yourself. And to enter, simply head over to the masteryourlook.co.za platform, find the competition post, and answer this question. If you could master any skill, what would it be? And don't forget to BIC Flex it and hashtag masteryourlook. And you can find the terms and conditions on masteryourlook.co.za. If you could learn any skill based on the conversations we've had today, I would suggest AI. Learn how to work with AI. Gentlemen, you've been amazing. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it.